Well, as is typical, it's a great day. It's a great day because we get a chance to roll out what everybody has been asking for now for the last couple of years, and that is the Real ID. You can purchase the Real ID today at all 67 of our DMVs. The intent is really to provide a more secure credential to prevent things like the 9/11 catastrophe. There are three things that this Real ID will allow you to do. It'll allow you to board a domestic commercial aircraft. It will allow you to enter a secure federal building, and it will allow you to enter a military installation. I focus on those three things because if you don't need to do those three things, you don't need a Real ID. So, what I'll tell you is you do not need a Real ID if you have a valid passport or a military ID. You do not need a Real ID to drive, to vote, to receive federal benefits that are entitled, to enter a non-secure federal building like a post office. You do not need a Real ID to participate in law enforcement proceedings, and it does not apply to constitutionally protected acts. The biggest difference between a compliant and a non-compliant card, and you'll be able to come and look at these afterwards. The compliant card has a big gold star in the corner. A non-compliant card, and I'll repeat this a couple of times, has not valid for federal identification in big, bold, black letters. Every card the department issues today will either have a gold star on it or not valid for federal identification on it. But again, it is a completely voluntary program. You do not need a Real ID if you're not going to do one of those aforementioned activities. The other big piece is one person, one card. You can have a driver's license or you can have an ID card. You can have a compliant card or a non-compliant card. One of the key components of the National Real ID Act is one credential per individual, period. And I will tell you where that has been a problem in the past. When an individual comes from out of state and they want an in-state discount and they want an ID card, we tell them before they get it, we're going to cancel your driver's license in New York if you want the ID card, but you own property here, so we'll give you your ID card. All right? And they're shocked when it's canceled. Nationwide, one credential, one person. We want you to save time and renew online. If you are one of the 1.1 million people in this state that is actually pre-registered for a credential, or you got your credential from the November of 2010 timeframe forward, you already have qualified for the Real ID. We do not want to see your smiling face in the DMV any more than you want to be there. Please use the online process and we'll mail it to you. If you do not want a Real ID and you just want to renew your driver's license, do it online and avoid the lines. It's a really simple process. We don't want to see you there any more than you want to be there, and I speak to that in a very familiar, festive piece, but I understand the criticality of your time. What's required if you want a Real ID? You have to bring in an original birth certificate. If you don't have an original birth certificate, a valid passport will do. You have to bring in a record of every name change. So, if you're married and you had a birth certificate, a marriage certificate, worst case, divorce decree, marriage certificate, spouse dies, you want to go to your maiden name, a court order. If you have a passport, a valid passport, you'll only need the valid passport to record all those name changes. Otherwise, you have to bring in documentation for all of those name changes. You have to bring in proof of Social Security number, usually a Social Security card or a 1099 with your Social Security number on it. and 2 proofs of address. Not a P.O. box, 2 proofs of address. When you've got that information, come to the DMV. We will document your validity of those documents, and we will issue you your compliant driver's license or ID card. How much is it going to cost? It's not going to cost a penny more than you're paying right now. It's $25 before, it's $25 after. Okay, how long is it valid for? The federal law will not allow a credential to be valid any longer than 8 years. The good news for anybody that's 65 years or older is it's good for 8 years. We've eliminated that 5-year boundary, so yours is now good for the same time as everybody else's. Here's the critical thing. Please do not rush into the DMV. We have 2.5 years to make this work. You've just got to have your valid real ID before the 30th of September of 2020, and you're going to be fine. Why do I say that? We have 3 groups of people in South Carolina. You've got the type A personality that wants to come in today and get it today. They are going to help create long lines. All right? You've got, everybody else that will take it in stride, and then you got the 3rd group, which scares me, which are the procrastinators. They're going to wait until the last 9 months and make lines happen then. We want to make your experience pleasant. We want to make it easy. We want to encourage you to use our website. You go to www.scdmvonline.com, and you can go to the part that says locations, and it will list out all 67 locations. When you find the one you want to go to, push the little button that says wait times, and it will show you in real time how many people are in line at the DMV then, and exactly how much time it takes a person to get from the greeter station to the front desk. If that time is too long, then find another time. Don't come in right then because you've got 2.5 years to do it. You might choose to go to another DMV in that area, in which case, instead of pushing the wait times button, push the directions button on your smartphone. It will link directly to your GPS and take you to the next location. We want to make this as simple and painless to you as reasonably possible.